The following program contains shocking amounts of wit. If you suffer from dim-wittedness, this show might not be right for you. Check with your mortician.
5 precious wounds he bears, received on Calvary. 5 bleeding wounds, his blood was shed for you and me. Lord Jesus,
standing for truth in the 4 corners of America, fighting for justice on the frontiers of the culture wars, and turning resistance into an art form. Randall Terry.
Welcome to the program, friend. Edward Snowden, the NSA, international spying, it's all in the news this time because President Obama's henchmen are spying on world leaders that are our allies. You have to be taking stupid pills by the fistful to tap the leader of Germany's phone. We'll talk about it.
When I heard that the NSA was spying on people, it didn't surprise me one bit. The blistering idiots and the other NSA have been spying on me for years to steal my discoveries. You ask, what other NSA? Why, the Neutron Star Association, of course. I've discovered more pulsars than they will ever discover. More than they will ever discover.
Welcome to today's program, friend. At the time of this taping, my son, our son, Michael Winston Theodore Terry, is in the hospital. He had to be admitted for some of the side effects of the chemotherapy. He is receiving chemotherapy right now, and he's in a very intense inductive phase to fight the cancer that he has in his body called lymphoblastic lymphoma. I ask you please to keep him in your prayers. I thank those of you who have emailed Andrea and I. We read them all. We read and we read the ones to Michael. There's a tab there where somebody can write an email to Michael, and he has gotten a bunch of cards, and we thank you for that with all our heart. This is going to be a 2.5-year journey for us, according to what the doctors are telling us. So I'm a sprinter, and I'm good at getting things done in the short run, and marathons are not my strength. So this has been very difficult for us, very, very difficult, and horribly difficult for my son and our other sons as well. So I ask you for your prayers. All right, let's talk about spying. No, let's start off with guns. Let's start off with the UN treaty. There was an arms treaty that you might have noticed that Obama instructed Secretary of State John Kerry, to sign in late September. And this treaty would impede our Second Amendment rights, okay? Because it deals with the transfer of firearms, all right? So here we've got the President of the United States spying on us, all right? The NSA has become a tyrannical, Nazi-like, Soviet-era-like data-gathering organization spying against U.S. citizens in clear violation of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Amendments to the Constitution, okay? Clear violation. So the UN is now, there's nations being led, the charges being led by Germany and Brazil, and there's about 35 foreign leaders, including Merkel, the leader of Germany, who were being spied on, their phones tapped by the United States government. And so they're introducing a UN resolution to say that the U.S. can't do it. Stop. Now, I've got a question for you. Do you think that Barry Hussein Obama, our president, will sign that treaty? Yes, I will stop spying on our citizens and I'll stop spying on the citizens of the world and I'm sorry. Do you think he'll do that? No, he won't do that. But he will sign a treaty that takes our guns away. So, the Second Amendment, he's willing to thrash it and to trash it. The Third, Fourth, and Fifth, rip them up, throw them in the garbage. The Constitution is an impediment to him. It's a roadblock. But you know what? You might remember that the Homeland Security folks recently bought some really cool armored vehicles and millions of rounds of ammunition. So you know what they're doing with roadblocks? Ha ha! They're knocking them down. The Second Amendment means nothing to this president. The Third, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment are an annoyance to him. We must have the great country that I envision. Hear me when I tell you this, okay? Democracy is not an ethical system. It is not an unethical system. It's an ethics-free system, okay? What matters is the philosophy under which you govern in a democracy. So if a vote is taken in your community and 73% vote to take your home and to sell it, to pay for their health care and their food,
well, it was an election fair and square, Billy. I'm sorry. And no, you cannot keep that SUV. We'll give you $4,000 like Obama did a few years ago, and you can buy yourself a beater to drive. But this is an election fair and square. Democracy.
okay? It doesn't matter if people vote for something. What matters is whether or not it's right or wrong. Obama, are you listening? I know that you're not. Those ears are for show. Every day in America, over 3,500 babies are torn apart by abortion. Shouldn't all babies, like this living, unborn child, have the right to life? Baby killing will only end when Americans see the truth of what abortion does to innocent children. You can help end this Holocaust by showing the truth of abortion in your area with a Face the Truth tour. Go to facethetruthamerica.com to set up a Face the Truth tour in your area. The babies and their mothers will be eternally grateful. How would you like to be able to reach hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of potential customers with your product or your company or your web-based business? Well, you can do that right here on this show. Every single day, we get phone calls or letters or orders online from states all over the country where people are watching this television show. Right now, we are seen in 45 cities at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time every night, and then a rerun again at 12:30 midnight. You can reach them using this show at advertising rates that are so inexpensive, it would blow your mind. So, if you're interested, contact us at the phone number that you see on the screen or the email address, and we can talk about how you can grow your business and help support this show. If we are together, nothing is impossible. If we are divided, all will fail. Sir Winston Churchill. We're sorry. Obamacare representatives are currently helping illegal immigrants. Your current wait time is 7 years, 2 months, and 16 days. Please, don't hurt yourself while you're waiting, because you may not be covered. I amuse myself. I think that I'm funny.
I know in my heart that I'm funny, sir.
I want to talk to you about the Constitution and about democracy. We're being spied on, okay? We are. And we, as individuals, and certainly our elected representatives, like Pete King, the Republican, Jack Boot, how do you say that? Jack Boot Thug? Yeah. And Dianne Feinstein, they're not going to protect our interests, okay? They're statists, right? They believe in Big Brother. They are helping Big Brother in the name of our security. So as we march down this road of being a slave state, as we continue down this path where we the American people, or our government rather, that we're the bad guys in the world narrative, it would do us well to step back and to ponder a couple things, okay? And by the way, I want to emphasize that point. In the narrative, the world narrative that's going on right now, in many minds, in many nations, we are the bad guy. Our government. Do you remember when Obama went to Germany before his election? I think there were 600,000 people there screaming his praise. He went back last year sometime, 6,000 came. This is before it came out that we were spying on Merkel, the leader of Germany. We were spying on her. We had her phones tapped, okay? This is an outrage. We are the bad guy in the world narrative, and Obama said he was going to bring healing, that all the harm that had been done to American prestige and goodwill towards Americans under Bush 1 and under Bush 2 and under Ronald Reagan, he was going to reverse that. And instead, he's made it worse, far worse, with his NSA spying on literally hundreds of millions, perhaps billions of people around the world. It is so offensive. And we had some discussions here earlier about Edward Snowden and that he did the right thing by blowing the whistle that the U.S. government was spying on its own citizens. He had a duty to do that because he swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, right? And the Third, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments to the Constitution are being trashed in this law. It's an unlawful order. But did he do the right thing to let other governments know that we were spying on them, including our allies? I think probably he did the right thing, maybe not, because of U.S. interest. But what interest do we have to spy on Merkel? That's the point. And if this NSA program is going to be dumped, which it needs to be dumped, all right, they can get a warrant for a wiretap or to look at people's emails if they really have probable cause, okay? That's not going to go away. It's this metadata where they gather everything from everyone that is offense. It's an offense. If this NSA program is ever going to be dumped, it might be because of international pressure. There's not enough pressure coming from the American citizens. We're just like,
Mabel, careful what you say to me on the phone, honey. You know some of them romance discussions you and I have had because Big Brother might be listening. No, we don't want to entertain him either. More garlic, honey.
It may be that Edward Snowden helped the U.S. citizenry by helping other world leaders, allies, know that the U.S. government was spying on them because it's going to bring international pressure to bear. I mean, this UN resolution, the changing of the law to keep the U.S. government from spying on other nations, is dead in the water because the U.S. is going to veto it, okay? But it might put some pressure on these tyrants that are running our government. I'll be right back to talk about democracy and its inherent dangers. Do you want to have knowledge, wisdom, discernment? If so, you have to read good books on theology, history, books that look at the lives of great men and women. So to help you to become a more effective Christian, a better witness for truth, somebody who can engage in productive conversation that exhorts and edifies those that you speak with, we're going to do something crazy. We're offering you these 7 books for a gift of any size. You just pay for the shipping and handling, and then give whatever gift that you can, and we will send them to you. But just to make it a little bit more crazy, I will send you a second copy of my 3 books, autographed. You can give them as a gift to your pastor or to a family member and help extend truth and justice in the world. This is while supplies last. James Madison said, "The people of the United States owe their independence and their liberty to the wisdom of seeing in the minute tax of 3 pence on tea the magnitude of the evil comprised in the precedent. Let them exert the same wisdom in watching against every evil lurking under plausible disguises, and growing up from small beginnings. Welcome back to the program, friend. Earlier in the show, I talked about a democracy being neither an ethical or an unethical system. I want to use a minute to be instructive. We are in a constitutional republic, okay? We do not run our federal government, and most of our state governments for that matter, with a 51% vote on something, 50% plus one, okay? The Constitution was put in place to slow things down, all right? And the reason the framers did this is because they said that people's passions get ignited and they get worked up and they would want to rush headlong and make a change, but the Constitution cannot be changed unless it has a 2/3 vote of both houses and then 3/4 of the states ratifying it, all right? So it slows the pace down. I prefer a constitutional republic any day of the week, but I want to point out two things about our system where ethics really mattered. Number one, the bondage, the man-stealing, we called it slavery, that was a curse on this country and was a sin, an abominable crime against God, outstripped in our nation's history only by child killing, okay? It was enshrined in the Constitution, all right? They put it in the Constitution. They had the 3/5 clause, which meant that a black slave was worth 3/5 of a vote, even though they couldn't vote. So it gave southern states more congressmen than they deserved. But they had no fear that a constitutional amendment was going to come along to change slavery because it had to be ratified by 3/4 of the states. So to prove my point, to emphasize, don't be too proud about the bars and stars and thinking, our system is the best in the world. Our system wrote into its founding document that it was okay to commit a capital offense, man-stealing, to hold another person in bondage. It was a crime against God, and we paid for that with the Civil War. The second thing I want to point out is that the constitutional republic, slavery outside, began to unravel with the 16th and 17th Amendments.
100 years ago.
About 100 years ago, when under Woodrow Wilson's presidency, we had the direct taxation of the people. And by the way, people laughed when they mocked because it was only going to be 1%, the income tax. And people said, well, if it can be 1, why not 10? Why not 20? Why not 30? And the tax rates got to the 90% rate before President Reagan took office, okay? So when they say to you, well, Obamacare is going to just do this and that, trust me, okay? It's the camel's nose in the tent. They're just encroaching. So they had the 16th Amendment, which gave us the direct taxation of the people, and the 17th Amendment, which had the direct election of senators. That was like a kneecap, a baseball bat to the kneecap of states' rights and a balanced federal and state system. You see, before the direct election of senators, the senators were elected by the legislatures of their state. I mean, do you think that McCain would be doing what he's doing regarding illegal immigration in Arizona if he was elected by the state legislature there? They would throw his sorry hind end out so fast, he would have never had any aspirations for the presidency. He'd have been running a new car dealership or something, okay? They'd have pulled him out. They wouldn't have even waited for a 6-year term. They'd have just had a recall vote because senators were sent to D.C. to represent the state. The Congress, the House of Representatives was there to represent the people, all right? All of that to say this. The election of people did not begin with the Greeks, it began with the Jews. It is in the laws of God. You read the 5 books of the law and you'll see over and over God said, choose elders to rule in your gates, to serve as judges in criminal matters, okay? To serve as witnesses in trials, all right? It came from the Bible. It did not come from the Greeks. But the premise was that these leaders in the gates would be executing the laws of God. Not laws that were created by an oligarchy on the Supreme Court, but laws that were given to us by our Maker. So you better believe when I say that the laws of God must undergird this country, because otherwise we're in a moral free fall and anything goes. Oh, look, that's exactly what's happening. Do you want to get America out of the hands of wicked and unjust men and women who are destroying the republic before our eyes, and put leadership back into the hands of righteous men and women so that we don't die as a nation? Well, you're talking about social revolution, and there are rules in social revolution. We can look at the victorious social revolutions of the past, such as the end of slavery, the end of child labor, women's voting rights, the end of segregation, and so much more, and learn from their victories. Look at their actions, their images, their rhetoric, their sacrifices, and their final fruit. We will send you this series that originally cost $129, 7 books for students, 1 teacher's guide, if you'll give a gift of any size and just pay for shipping and handling. Take advantage of it today. Welcome back to the program, friend. A little bit of housekeeping here for us. We have decided that we are going to relocate our studio. Work calls me to the great state of Tennessee, and it's going to be very cumbersome. Also involved in our decision is proximity to a health facility. Right now, our son is being treated for cancer, and it is a 4.5 or 5 hour drive with bad traffic to the closest hospital that can deal with pediatric oncology, which is cancer in children. So we're going to move where we can be within a half an hour of people that can treat Michael. And we will have our studio down there. We're doing some documentaries down in Tennessee, which will be very, very interesting. I ask you to pray for us, please. I ask you to pray for my son. If you did not know that my son was sick, you can go to our website, voiceofresistance.org. We also could use help with the finances of moving. So you can imagine what all that it entails to move families and studio and equipment, and it's cumbersome. It really is. So if you want to help us financially make a contribution, we would appreciate it, and go to our website. Having a child who is sick, I lost my oldest son in a car wreck about almost 2 years ago, my adopted son, Jamil, and now we have our little baby, our 10-year-old, who is fighting cancer. It brings, things of this nature bring things into very sudden and clear focus. And if I can help transmit some of the focus without the pain and the anxiety and the fear, then I will have served you well. All of us are going to face God. All of us, none of us are getting out of here alive, okay? We're all going to die. Unless Jesus comes back, we're all going to die. And I don't see people on their deathbed saying, I wish I'd watched more football. I wish that I'd worked more. I wish I'd spent more time doing foolish things. Most people, not all, but most people say, I wish I'd spent more time with my family. I wish I had been a better husband. I wish I'd been a better wife. I wish I'd been a better dad. And I was looking at a statue of St. Joseph, the foster father of Jesus. I believe there's one behind me. And I just started crying the other day because I thought, oh God, you gave your only begotten son to this man, to this foster father. And what set Joseph apart was he obeyed God quickly. He had a dream, marry this woman, he marries her. An angel of the Lord speaks to him in a dream. You have to flee to Egypt. He gets up and he goes. Takes 6 months hiding from those that would kill Christ. He was a good dad. He was a good man, and he trained Jesus how to be a good carpenter. We need to follow the example of Joseph, the foster father of Jesus, and be the best people that we can be for our family, for time and eternity. God bless you. Pray for us. Thank you.